Okay, everyone, welcome tonight. Um, it's so good to be back with you all. Sorry I was unable to join last week. I took a little break for the weekend. I went out of town and didn't get back in time enough for the teaching, and so I hope the recording was good. Um, so So, hello to those who are new joining us tonight. Right? Can people see me, hear me? Okay. Okay, great. All right. Um, yeah. So, again, welcome to those who are new with us today. Just really glad. It's really wonderful to be here with everyone. Hello to everyone who, you know, of course, is returning as well. Um, So if you're new, I'm definitely just pointing out that this is a guided practice, and you don't need any text, anything in our mantras and prayers and everything will be posted in the chat box, so you won't have to refer to anything. Um, all right, so wonderful. So as usual, let's begin. Also, by adding any prayer requests or aspirations into the chat box, and I will offer those on behalf of the group. If you don't want to add anything publicly, just beginning to reflect on some of the aspirations that we may have um, for our practice moving forward. And I know it's been really tough couple of weeks for many of us. And tonight I wanted to just go back and focus on the earth and doing our earth breathing practice, really just using the earth as foundation. And of course, in our earth practices, we're trying to reconnect to the earth and allow the earth to really support us as we're moving through strong kind of emotional states. We need an anchor. Like, we really do need an anchor right now to hold us. Now, of course, I consider the earth a source of foundation, something that I rely on, that I retreat into to take care of me as I move through a lot of things, and for me personally too, as well. I am also doing my own personal work of moving through a lot of grief as well. Um, and I've been really calling on the earth to support this grief work, right? And I believe that the blessings of the deity, the blessings of Medicine Buddha as well, um, is also expressed through the earth as well. There is tremendous healing that comes from the earth, and the earth offers really pretty much all or most or a lot of the medicine that we use to be well, particularly plant medicine, you know, and how we can ally with the consciousness of plants to promote healing, right? And again, our personal healing and how it relates to the collective experience of healing is important because to, I guess to impact, to create change within the collective or the system, we have to first begin to enact this change personally. Um, we have to start developing the tools, the methods to be in a relationship to our own deep hurts. Instead of reacting to it, instead of trying to bypass it or erase it, but coming back and being in a relationship to the deep, deep discomfort, the deep disappointment, and to allow that disappointment to be there. And I hope one of the things that we've been developing for those of you, particularly who've been working through this for a bit, these practices, is that we're hopefully developing the capacity to understand that the hurt, the woundedness, the brokenheartedness, even the trauma, that's not who we are. It's not what we are. It's an experience that we're having within the boundless expansiveness, boundless, I said boundless twice. I'll say it again, boundless experience or state of mind itself. The mind is this great boundless ocean, right? And this ocean is water, right? And waves rise and fall from the ocean. We may call this water rising from the ocean a wave, but at no point do we ever say that the the wave is something completely different than the ocean itself. It is an expression of the ocean. Um, a wave can't overwhelm the ocean. The ocean is the wave, right? So in the same way, in the practice, we're understanding that all phenomena is just a wave that arises from the ocean of our vast, boundless mind. And what you just, we're gonna, as we begin, and I know people are still coming into the space, but as we begin, spending just a few moments just reflecting on what that means for you, what your experience of the ocean-like mind is, and of course this all can be just a concept, right? And of course we can begin with concepts, right? But over time we're trying to step into an embodiment of a concept. When we step into an embodiment of a concept, then that concept becomes a lived experience. And so we're trying to develop a lived experience of the mind as vast, fluid, open, boundless. And how our experiences and really all phenomenal reality, but particularly thoughts, emotions, narratives are just these waves that arise from the ocean-like mind. That they're not other than the ocean mind, but they are just expressions of the ocean mind. If the ocean mind is clear, vast, spacious, fluid, empty, then we train ourselves to see our thoughts and emotions and trauma as being another expression of that emptiness, vastness, spaciousness, fluidity. And as you connect to this idea, And even if we struggle to understand what this means for us and what our experience of this is, we can still develop this aspiration that we dedicate that we this aspiration where we wish that all beings could experience their mind as fluid and vast and open, instead of the way many of us do, which is contracted, constricted, shut down, overwhelmed, solid, static. And since we're here, we're still gonna move into our connection to the earth. But but since we're here with this ocean like mind, I'm gonna just continue practicing just for a few more moments with this, and then we'll turn into our earth breathing. But we can begin to imagine that this vast ocean like mind is also the expression of Medicine Buddha. And we'll begin with our opening mantra, Minla Sangye Kina Soha. Minla Kin Sangye, sorry, Minla Sangye Kino Soha, which is a supplication basically to Medicine Buddha, which says, Medicine Buddha, please think of us, or please look at us, remember us. As we chant this for a couple of times, you just begin to imagine that this ocean-like mind is awakened, and it's awakened to its own consciousness as Medicine Buddha, as Minla Sangye. So we begin. Minla Sangye Kino Soa. Minla Sangye Kino Soha. Minla Sangye Kino Soa. Minla Sangye Kino Soa. Minla Sangye Kino Soa. Minla Sangye Kino Soha. And I want us to hum it a few times. As we hum it, we need to pay attention to how the humming of the mantra begins to resonate in the body, and pay attention to where this vibration begins to awaken something within the body. Um, so we're going to hum it a few times. Mm, 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 mm. And now continuing to evoke the consciousness of Minla Sangye, the great healer, Medicine Buddha, as a direct expression of our own innate wisdom, as an expression of our basic, most authentic expression of mind itself. We begin to offer our prayer requests, our aspirations, our needs, as well as our grief, our longing, into the openness and spaciousness of the mind and heart of the deity. On behalf of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Dharma protectors, our elders, ancestors, on behalf of the land and all the elements, on behalf of our lineages and teachers and guides, and all the beings who love us and who are working and struggling on behalf of us, trying to get us free, we offer these prayers. We continue to pray for my greater capacity to hold grief for my friend C, for wisdom and truth to guide the jurors in the trial of state of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin towards a just outcome. Offering prayers to my uncle Mando, who passed away, that his spirit be well, that he finds the peace he never was granted in this lifetime. Prayers for Monica and my mother, for my fellow teachers. Prayers for all the immunocompromised people during this time. Prayers for the United States, that people may feel responsibility and respect for each other no matter what. Prayers for the Sikh community. Prayers for everyone suffering from disease of addiction, directly and indirectly. Prayers for all of those deeply affected by recent mass shootings. May we be held and healed by Matara. Prayers for me and Gabriella to encounter and learn from my fear. Prayers for my cousin Osimo, who died this week, and for his family. Prayers for transgender youth in the United States that are trying to, prayers for transgender youth in the U.S. and states that are trying to revoke their safety. Prayers for my mom, Carol, who is really struggling with her dementia and living place. Prayers for the safety of children and all of our descendants. May they live long, joyful, and liberated lives. Prayers for the spaciousness. Prayers for spaciousness for myself and all others to hold heartbrokenness and grief and cultivate resilience. Prayers for Abby as she moves out of an abusive relationship and for her children, Madison and Colin, as they adjust to their new situation. Prayers for Tom and his family after the loss of his father. Prayers for Lori, who lost her daughter after a long struggle to help her. Prayers for all the children without parents and family that are often forgotten. We're offering continued prayers for my son, who is doing well, for my cousin, who is under chemo. Prayers for Victor to persevere. Prayers for Jay, who is starting the Title IX process right now. May they be supported and may their suffering be minimized as they go through the process. Prayers for my upcoming eye surgery. And I continue to offer prayers for Mike, and offering prayers for Erica and for Chris's mother. I continue to offer prayers for all beings who are passing, transitioning into the spirit realm, the bardo. May their transition be without obstacle. May all earth-bound spirits be released. May all violence, hate, antagonism be purified. May justice, healing, and accountability express itself. And may all beings, in all the worlds, and all the times, and all the places, awaken to their own innate wisdom and compassion. And may all beings be liberated from the cycle of birth and rebirth without consent. We offer all these prayers and all unspoken prayers into the vast mind and consciousness of the great healer. We turn our attention now to the breath, beginning to notice the in-breath and the out-breath. Breathing in whatever way feels appropriate for you right now. Allowing the breath to deepen, to slow down. And as our breath begins to uncover any experiences of grief or brokenheartedness or anger or sorrow or whatever feels like discomfort or suffering, we begin to offer these experiences into the spaciousness of our minds as an offering to Medicine Buddha. Deepening the breath. shifting our attention now to our heart centers, imagining that we are breathing in and out of the heart center. We begin to turn our minds to the awakening of gratitude, beginning to reflect something or someone that we're grateful for, beginning to reflect on all the kindness and labor that we have been recipients of. We also reflect on our gratitude or love of our lineages, teachers, or guides, that for some of us may arise as an expression of devotion, even allowing that to awaken within the heart center. So moving into our internal exhale to begin to really deepen its energy. So we do that by imagining that we're inhaling deeply into this awakening energy of gratitude in the heart center. And as we exhale, we imagine that we exhale into the body. So the exhale just begins to just awaken, spread from the heart center throughout the body. But as that exhale releases in the body, spreading throughout the body, it begins to awaken and begin to spread this energy of gratitude throughout the body. So in my mind, sometimes I imagine breathing into the heart center. And as I do the internal exhale, that the exhale just goes out in every direction throughout the body. So it's just kind of spreads throughout the body. I can feel that energy moving to the very tips of my hands, top of my head, down to my toes. And if you want just to take this a little further, you can inhale into the heart center and actually begin to hold the breath in the heart center. As we're holding the breath, we're holding the buildup of that energy, which right now for us is prana, life force energy. So as we breathe into the heart center and hold the breath there, and the holding of the breath begins to intensify the energy of gratitude in the heart center. You can feel that as heat, you can feel that as pressure, you can just feel that as energy is really being pressurized. And holding that for as long as is appropriate, and then again releasing it through the internal exhale in the body. So this is optional, but trying this for a few times if you would like to do it. If you're new to this practice, only do it no more than 3 times, maybe 2 times at most, because it begins to really awaken energy and move energy. Oops, sorry. It begins to move energy and awaken energy really intensely. And what we also experience when we're working through a breath like this is that when we hold the breath anywhere in the body, we can begin to settle and concentrate to the prana. And when prana is concentrated and settled, we begin to experience a much more of a stillness of the mind. So much of pranayama practice is really about learning to train the flow and movement of prana and shakti as well, and kundalini. And when you're ready, coming back into a normal breath. And just taking just a few moments just to really settle the breath again and the energy. So moving and shifting our attention down to the seat. Noticing the weight of the body, making contact with the seat. Allowing that sensation to ground our attention. And we begin to shift our attention down into the earth. And through our attention, we begin to touch energetically into the earth. And allowing the earth to touch us back. As we're making contact with the earth in this way, we also begin to share this energy of gratitude down into the earth. So we essentially are awakening a gratitude for the earth itself. And this energy of gratitude is transferred through this connection between our attention and the energetic expression of the earth. And as the earth begins to be filled with this energy of gratitude, the earth begin to imagine that the earth is beginning to be filled with gratitude first. This energy of gratitude begins to awaken the earth, the land under us. It awakens the consciousness of the earth, the land. And in this awakening, we begin to understand and experience the land as sacred. And this sacredness becomes an expression of Medicine Buddha. Now, shifting our attention back into the body, but this time shifting our attention to the base of the spine. So the base of our spine where we traditionally identify the root chakra of our energy bodies. And of course, the root chakra is related to the earth, to groundedness, to home, to safety. It's related to being cared for and tended to. While our root chakra connects us to the element of the earth, our seventh chakra at the top of our head connects us to higher levels of consciousness. And our goal in practicing is to unite the root chakra and the seventh chakra together to create this uniformed, deep expression of the union of what we call heaven and earth. But the union of what's above with what's below. But for our practice tonight, we're just shifting our attention back to the root chakra, and we're beginning to imagine that we're breathing in and out of the root chakra. We're going to go just a little further with this breath. We begin to imagine that we are now inhaling from the earth below us. So we're inhaling into the root chakra, the energy of the earth. And as we've done often in the past, we can identify the kind of energy from the earth that we're breathing, inhaling. It can be the energy of stability, the energy of foundation, and so forth. But naming that energy is really helpful because it allows the mind to kind of, in a way, grab onto something to start actually inviting it into the body. So we begin to imagine inhaling from the earth into the root chakra and inhaling this energy of earth. And we begin to imagine that the root chakra becomes filled, super activated as it's being filled with this energy of the earth. It is awakening. And now, like before, we return back to the internal exhale. So as we breathe into the root chakra, this earth energy that we're breathing into, as we breathe it into the root chakra, we exhale from the root chakra directly into the body, up into the body, and that exhale begins to send this energy of the earth all the way up into the body, all the way up to the seventh chakra at the top of the head. And we will move into just a few rounds, a few sections of our mantra practice. And for the first section of our mantra, we will continue just breathing, inhaling into the root chakra, exhaling the energy of the earth up into the body from the root chakra. Moving into our main mantra, Mtiyata Baconse, Maham Baconse, Rasa Sumung Gate, Soha. Teata Baconse, Maha 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 Baconse, sumungadesoa. 제야자 umbegenze begenze ma begenze 라서 수문가제소아. 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 So, in our continuation of our mantra practice, we begin to imagine that we are completely filled with this energy of gratitude. This energy from the earth. And being filled and overflowing, we begin to imagine that we begin to exhale now out of the body. And as we exhale, we're imagining that we're exhaling through every pore opening in the body. And as we exhale, we begin to offer this energy, this stabilizing, grounding, healing energy of the earth out into the world from our bodies through the exhale. So again, inhaling into the root chakra, exhaling out of the body, imagining we're again sending breath throughout, out of every opening in the body. And this energy can radiate into the world as light, as warmth, or just any creative or appropriate way that you would like to imagine this. But this energy begins to radiate from the body and beginning to, to ground, to stabilize the experiences of suffering, particularly of grief, of hate. And we begin to imagine that this energy first fills our homes and impacts those that we're living with. And this energy begins to radiate into our neighborhoods, our communities, within our cities, our states, the whole country, the whole world. Imagining that this energy is radiating throughout everywhere and to every body and every mind around us. Excuse me. We begin again. Ucheataumbegenze begenze mabegenze atasumunga soa Cheataumbegenze begenze mabegenze atasumunga soa Cheataumbegenze begenze ma begenze razusumungate soa leata umbre begenze begenze ma begenze razusumungate soa leata umbegenze begenze ma begenze razusumungate soa leata umbegenze begenze ma begenze razusumungate soa Teata begenze 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 begenze ma begenze razusumungate soa 제야자 움베겐제 베겐제 마베겐제 라스수문가제소아 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 제야자 움베겐제 베겐제 마베겐제 라스수문가제소아. And for our last practice of the mantra, we will now imagine that we are sending this energy of the earth back into the earth as a way of thanking the earth, replenishing the earth for what it has offered us in our practice. And as we send this energy back to the earth, we also begin to benefit all beings, particularly formless beings, guardians, protecting spirits, and other formless beings who are connected, bound to the land as well. 제야자 움베겐제 베겐제 마베겐제 라스수문가제소아 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 Teata humbegenze, begenze, mahabegenze, raza sumangate soa. Teata humbegenze, begenze, mahabegenze, raza sumangate soa. Teata humbegenze, begenze, mahabegenze, raza sumangate soa. Teata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumangate soa. Teata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumangate soa. Teata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumangate soa. And as we prepare to transition from our practice, we begin to imagine that all the beings that we've shared this energy with, including the earth and all disembodied beings or unembodied beings, we begin to imagine that all beings, including ourselves, are completely liberated from suffering, from exhaustion, from grief or sorrow, from fear. All beings are safe, taken care of, rested and tended to, and freed from the cycle of unconsensual birth and rebirth. Returning our attention back to the seat, noticing the weight of the body making contact with the seat. We make a final prayer and aspiration that all those we've prayed for and offered prayers to, that all beings are able to experience what they most need in this moment. So coming back into your space, beginning to awaken the body through some simple movements. We will turn our attention now into Shantideva's prayer, which we will recite 3 times. In which we find the prayer in the chat box. And we begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be a nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Okay. Thank you all so much for your practice this evening. Please join us again on Wednesday night for our community Dharma sharing, which I will be offering Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can find the link on the Bhumi Sparsha website for that as well. Um, and if there, we have just a minute or two, if there's any question, any intense question that someone needs to ask, please go ahead and do that. If not, um, next week, definitely please come with questions if you have any questions. Um, oh, I don't have a question, but I do have just a reminder just for, I don't know if I have to tell you this, but continue practicing. Please continue to practice. And I will be preparing to actually to make a few different offerings later this summer. Hopefully beginning in, well, actually beginning before July, but I will be offering some support around grief as well. So look out for that um, as well. So you can ask, well, you can ask a big ass life question. Well, Dharma is about big ass life questions. So go ahead and ask it. If all dharmas are dreams, then what about marriage and having children? If all dharmas are dreams. What about marriage and having children? Well, everything that we're doing and life is just a dream. It's just, it's just this part of me for using the Matrix again as a reference, but it's really handy. Um, I have to use the Matrix when I can't figure out how to use Beyonce in an example. Um, so this is, a simulation. Um, it's just this is a simulation. You know. Now, this is a simulation. It doesn't make it unreal. It is real in a way. It's a real. We have to take it seriously because, in a way, you have to show up and pay attention to the simulation in order to figure out how to exit the simulation. Dying isn't necessarily dying isn't exiting the simulation. You're just continuing in the simulation. When we talk about transcending the cycle of birth and rebirth, developing consent to do that, when we develop the agency to choose rebirth and not to be reborn, then that's when we've disrupted this non consensual birth and rebirth. And we can only do that through the cultivation of wisdom and compassion together. And that wisdom and compassion or clarity or care begins to disrupt the simulation, because it's about getting real clear, you know, and that caring, the compassion, um, is about tuning into the emptiness of everything. Actually, compassion is really about emptiness. So you get clear and you begin to embody, or you begin to get. I don't know. My technology and coding language is going to be short lived here, but like you understand the code to get free when we begin to bring together compassion and wisdom. Um, um, if you haven't seen The Matrix, please go ahead and watch it. I just find it to be very helpful. It was very helpful for me at the beginning of my practice, to really to understand these larger contexts, these larger themes, issues within something that made sense to me. So The Matrix is definitely a super Dharma movie. Um, and oh, what else? What else is there to be said about that? I over time, over the course of our practice, we're developing an intuition into the nature of things. So like you can have experiences of suffering or pleasure, right? But you begin to inherently feel that these experiences lack a rootedness, a realness, you know. Now I'm beginning to feel like Morpheus. I feel like Lawrence Fishburne. Now, um, that should be my nickname, Morpheus. Anyhow, you begin to sense over time, particularly of just practicing, particularly deity practices and Mahamudra, which is all just the same practice, that inherently what we've labeled as real isn't as real as we think. And that little bit of intuition actually is tremendously liberating. You know, we still experience suffering, but that suffering isn't all encompassing. We don't get lost in the suffering. We're not swallowed by the suffering because you begin to inherently feel that, oh, the suffering is just this thing. Like it's this thing that has no inherent basis, but I'm still feeling it. And I have to feel it. Like I have to feel everything and experience everything because that's how we work the system to get free. You feel it, and in feeling and experiencing something, you begin to unlock the nature of that thing. Like it's like, here's something over here, right, that we want to experience, but we're over here. And many of us are afraid to be in relationship to this thing that we're experiencing, to this thing that needs to be experienced. That's how most of us are going through life. That's why there's so much grief now. That's why there's going to be a collapse of mental health as we move deeper into this year because people don't have the capacity to really move into relationship with the thing, to feel it, to experience it, right? And what we're trying to do in our practice is to move into relationship to experience it. When you experience something, you can release the experience. Like you're not running away from the experience. You begin to develop an agency with and over the experience. So it's no longer creating this situation where we feel powerless. We begin to feel agency, self power when we're experiencing everything. And then you begin to realize that the experience of one thing is the experience of the other. Mahamudra teaches us that the experience of pleasure is actually the same experience of displeasure, because both these experiences are inherently the same. And just answer this last question, and that'll be it for us tonight. Do you have any tips to differentiate if we're healing or bypassing? Yeah, you know, can you turn back to the thing that feels like hell, and are you still running away from it? When I think about my trauma, my grief, the things that I'm afraid of, I can I can look and say, okay, am I really working with this or am I leaving it? Because when I'm really working with something, there is this capacity to face it, to be in a relationship with it, and begin to experience some of it. If I'm just bypassing something, then I'm not interested in turning back to it. If you've really healed from something, you can go back to it, and hold space for it. Because healing is about space, right? As we learn in medicine, but it's space. We're trying to give everything space because space is always there. Space is inherently there. Regardless of if we connect to it or not, it's still there. Medicine Buddha and every deity, every wisdom deity within Tantric or Tibetan Buddhist Vajrayana tradition is about helping us to connect to space and to embody the space. And that space is already holding everything, but we're trying to get with that. We're trying to realize that for ourselves. Again, can you turn your mind, your attention back to the thing, that you feel as if you've healed from? And can you go back to it and continue to maintain the space for it? If you can, then you've healed it, or at least allow the space. Again, healing is the space, so right? So if you have the space there, then you're experiencing healing. Okay, okay, friends. Thank you so much. Please join us Wednesday nights as well. And please come back and watch these recordings. Please remember the blessings of all the deities, and find your sources of refuge and hold tight gently as we move through this period. Okay, thank you, everyone. May we all be free.